Hello, gracefully chosen community, and welcome to Foster My Story, the achievement focused podcast for foster care, adoption, orphan, inclusive of underserved communities. I'm your host, Shalina Michelle Tate. On today's cast episode, I'm going to be highlighting some gracefully chosen content you and your family can enjoy that relates to the gracefully chosen communities. There's 3 things I would like to highlight for the month of April, and we're starting off with a movie which I have seen and which I think is dynamic. This movie is really for teens to adults. It's PG-13 and it does have some real world experiences and content that I think anyone could relate to coming from various backgrounds, because there's some real topics that's in this film, kind of sensitive. So the name of this film is called I Am Somebody's Child, the Regina Louise Story, starring Jennifer Goodwin, and that's Jennifer with a G. She also voices Judy Hopps on the Zootopia movie, the rabbit on Zootopia. It also stars Angela Fairley as the young Regina and the much older Regina, played by Sherry Sayum. You may recognize Sherry from Grey's Anatomy. She plays Allison Brown. Regina Louise, an abandoned black child, is placed in a home where she demonstrates anger issues. Janine Kerr, a white counselor, empathizes with her and they form a bond which leads to a petition of adoption. You can never put a color of love when you're wanting to become a foster parent, adopt, or taking an orphan. So I am recommending it and highlighting it for the April movie of the month. And next we have a public figure whose name alone very familiar to those of you who have watched this movie, but the movie is based off the biography of this individual. So Antone Fisher, as of today, is an American screenwriter, poet, lecturer, best-selling author, and children's rights advocate. Antone is the writer, co-producer, and subject of Fox Searchlight Pictures' classic film Antone Fisher, which is a movie, stars Denzel Washington in his directorial debut and Derek Luke, who plays Fisher. This film is inspired by Fisher's true life story of a troubled sailor who embarks on the incredible journey to confront his painful past and connect with his family that he never knew. And once again, Antone Fisher is the title of that movie, also the name of the real person that this movie inspired, and of course the book as well. He is also a best-selling New York Times author. His other book is entitled Finding Fish. Once again, that was Antone Fisher. You may have known the name from the movie of the same name, directed by and starring Denzel Washington and Derek Luke. And then finally, Until Every Child is Home, Why the Church Can and Must Care for Orphans, by Todd R. Shipman. Your church is doing so much already, right? Trying to convince people to do foster care or adoption can feel like just another daunting, impossible task. It's hard enough to get volunteers for the nursery. Let's volunteer to foster or adopt a child, right? But what if we're thinking about it the wrong way? What if orphan care actually increases your church's capacity to do ministry? What if this one ministry opens doors to many others? Discover how orphan care transforms 6 key aspects of your ministry. Meet dozens of families and churches who have experienced the transformative power of orphan care and learn how you can get involved even if you're not ready to foster or adopt. After catching the vision for this vital ministry, you'll be ready to join them. Currently available via BibleStore.com for $5.99. This book by itself, it definitely speaks to a number of aspects, whether you're in ministry. My last guest, Rhonda Littleton, was just saying how she got started, her church give back and pour back into the community and have really supported each other, becoming foster parents, adoptive parents. I'm pretty sure there may have been an orphan story in there or 2. And so this book highlights the same thing, Why the Church Can and Must Care for Orphans, by Todd R. Shipman. And it's just really reminding us as believers to really take a step back and to remember that the efforts are not in vain. Really a ministry and a calling. And of course, when you hear that call or get that nudge, then you are really stepping up and pouring back into the lives of these individuals that need you. Once again, that was Until Every Child is Home, Why the Church Can and Must Care for Orphans. This book can be found on BibleStore.com. I Am Somebody's Child, the Regina Louise Story. This movie I just saw not too long ago is a phenomenal movie. I highly recommend it. For the month of April, we covered The Public Figure, which is highlighting Antone Fisher, the same name of the movie you may have heard of or seen, starring Denzel Washington and Derek Luke. Then the book Until Every Child is Home, Why the Church Can and Must Care for Orphans. If you would like to be a featured relative guest, and that's relative to the foster care, adoption, orphan, or underserved community guest that works in the areas associated with those communities, or a special guest that's your area of expertise in any one of those areas: foster care, adoption, orphan, or underserved communities, then feel free to reach out. Inbox the Gracefully Chosen 2020 Facebook page, and make sure that you catch updated content from Foster My Stories podcast on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time via Red Circle, Spotify, Amazon Audible, Radio Republic, and Google Podcasts. Next Wednesday, join one of the mentioned platforms at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and listen to my interview with my community guest. I'm so excited. Becky DeWitt. She's going to be on sharing a wealth of knowledge and experience and expertise to hopefully encourage you and your family. And remember, being fostered, adopted, orphaned, or underserved simply means you're gracefully chosen. Take care.